I've lived in Gig Harbor for well over 30 years. I got here well before this became the destination place that it is today. I got here well before the Second Narrows Bridge was built and well before any of these amenities behind me were built. So Gig Harbor has really changed over the last 30 years. And I want to be really honest with you about what it's all about. It is definitely a peaceful, beautiful, one of the most desired places to live in Western Washington. But it also has some hidden frustrations that if you're not ready for, they're going to catch you off guard. And that's what we're going to break down in this video. We are going to talk about what people absolutely fall in love with in regards to Gig Harbor. We're also going to talk about what catches them off guard and what might frustrate them. And then we're going to discuss if this might be a perfect place for you or some of those frustrations may get in the way and it's not the greatest place for you. My name is Darren Rivers. I am the Northwest Realtor and I'm managing broker of the Rivers Group. I have helped literally hundreds and hundreds of families either move to Gig Harbor or sell their homes in Gig Harbor. So let's get started with one of the things that have kept people rooted here, one of the positive things about Gig Harbor. And this is the great thing about it. It's where we're located. It does have a peaceful vibe to it. We are at a slower pace. It's a little bit calmer. It's a real good sense of community. It's not the big hustle and bustle rush of some of the bigger cities. But the great thing is where we're located, we're super close to all that stuff. So if you're a commuter that needs to go to Tacoma for work or you need more of the big city type stuff, it's literally only a 15-20 minute drive away. So it's very close and convenient to get to there. However, whenever you're here in Gig Harbor and you're here at home, it's just a little slower. It's a little calmer. It's just a nice, peaceful place to live. And that is something that even though we have grown, that vibe has definitely continued. Another part of Gig Harbor that people really love and stay rooted here, and I don't see this ever changing, is just how great downtown is on the waterfront. Gig Harbor was built around the actual harbor of Gig Harbor, right? And it's just an awesome place to be. Is where people go down and they take their dogs for a walk, they go for a jog. Scansey Park is down there where they do the summer concert series. They have the farmers market in the summer. There's all the coffee shops and restaurants and just the mom and pop stores, little retail stores. No big box stuff. It's really homegrown. That is never going to change. It hasn't changed yet. I don't see it changing in the near future. And it is one of the charming things about Gig Harbor. A third positive about Gig Harbor that has kept people here, and this is actually something that's gotten better over the years, is all of our outdoor stuff around us. Even though we have grown and we have more homes and things that are taking up space, they've added outdoor activities and trails and play fields and things like that have been added to the community. So we have the Cushman Trail here, right? It is a paved trail, not for motorized vehicles, it's for bicycles, runners. It goes over 6 miles through Gig Harbor. It goes across the Narrows Bridge all the way into Tacoma as well. There's all sorts of actual dirt trails that are maintained, so you can go out into the woods, take your dog for a walk or a trail walk or a mountain bike ride. We have the jail trails, as I call them, right around the McCormick Forest, which is right next to the Purdy Prison, which is that's why they're called the jail trails. We have the 360 Park. We have Banner Forest up in Kitsap County, just north of here, barely. We have all of these great maintained things that have just continued to thrive as our community has grown. We also have the 1,000-acre woods, actually. So that's another thing that you can participate in. The other thing that has grown is just all the organized outdoor activities with Samuel Park being built, the new Penn Met Park facilities. We have all these outdoor ball fields and recreation areas. That as the community has grown, the opportunity for outdoor activities has grown with us. So as our population has grown, our sense of community has really grown as well. The community activities have really taken off. There's some things that have been in place for decades and decades and decades, and they've continued to thrive and have more participation. The Maritime Festival is a prime example of that. They shut down the entire street of downtown Gig Harbor, Harborview for the weekend, have a community parade, they have a car show the next day. There's all sorts of booths lining the streets with vendors, and they're all local vendors, things like that. That has just taken off. We have the summer concert series that I mentioned earlier, farmers market. We have the sip and stroll. There's all sorts of chamber of commerce events and Rotary events. It's just as we have grown as a community and as our population has grown, all of these things, people want to get involved in Gig Harbor. It's just such a nice, pleasant, friendly place to be. People love to participate in these activities. And the last thing I'm going to touch on of something that has really turned for the better as we have grown is our healthcare. And this is really important to a lot of my clients, especially the senior citizens, where unfortunately, healthcare becomes a bigger part of their lives. But we have things here that we never used to have. We have a full hospital that 15 years ago didn't even exist. St. Anthony's Hospital is in Gig Harbor North. It's got an emergency department and it's a whole 9 yards. There's also a lot of professional medical buildings, urgent care centers, professional offices, all of those things that have grown as our community has grown. So you don't have to go over to Tacoma or up to Silverdale or out to Seattle for healthcare anymore. We have it all right here in our backyard. So let's transition into some of the things that catch people off guard and kind of turns it into a negative after they've been here for a little while. So if you come up here in the summertime and you're house shopping and you went buying a house in the summer and it's 80 degrees every day and sunny and the best place on earth, well, you're not wrong. It truly is the best place on earth in the summer. And then the winter hit and the gray hit, and people, especially depending where you're moving from, if you're coming from Southern California, a desert area, well, shoot, a lot of places in the country are more sunny in the winter than we are. It's a rude awakening for some people at times. So for example, January, do you know it's overcast 73% of the time in January? Now that doesn't necessarily mean rain, but it's gray. It's gray a lot. October to May, it's gray. So it's something that catches people off guard. There's this seasonal depression kind of thing that goes around with some people. It doesn't affect me at all. I could care less. I get outside anyway, but it does affect some people. And if you're not prepared for it, you could wake up and say, it's another gray, dreary day here in Western Washington. Okay, so a couple things that some of us locals do to get out of that gray depression kind of zone is just go on vacation. Get away for a weekend. Go to Eastern Washington where it's probably sunny. Hop on a short flight down to Tucson or Phoenix area, Las Vegas for a weekend, anything like that. Just get out of town for a weekend, just for a nice, sunny, warm weekend. That really, really helps. Also, embrace what we have here. Go up, go skiing, go snowshoeing up in the mountains. If it's dark and dreary, go where the snow is. It's great. And also, enjoy our dry days here. We have them in the winter. It's February right now. Dry right here. Go out and enjoy it. All right, so let's talk about a negative that has come with all of our growth over the last 30 years. And this is a real thing, and that is the traffic. So let's go back to a little history. When I first moved here, there was no second Narrows Bridge. There was only one bridge, and going across that Narrows Bridge was a nightmare, especially during rush hour times. You know, in the morning and in the afternoon, it was awful. So you would definitely time when you wanted to go over to Tacoma around rush hour because you did not want to get stuck in that traffic. And also, if there was a wreck on that bridge, your day's shot. It just shuts it down. It was ruined. It was off. Then they built the second bridge, and that fixed everything. Like, it was awesome. You're doing 65 miles an hour the whole way over to Tacoma. It doesn't matter what time of day. Everything was fixed. We literally had no traffic problems at all. And now we have the second Narrows Bridge, so commute is no longer an issue, and our population really exploded. We really grew right after the Narrows Bridge was done in the 2008 kind of time. Really grew for the next 10 years. And what that caused is, well, we don't have really traffic on the bridge anymore. There's traffic in Gig Harbor. We have roundabouts that are just kind of awful. And we're continuing to grow a little bit, and it's just adding to it. We actually have rush hour on Highway 16 through Gig Harbor in the afternoon now. Now realize it's not Los Angeles traffic. It's not Seattle traffic. It slows you down a little bit. It maybe takes you 5 minutes longer to get home. It's not like you're sitting there for an hour, but it's a definite difference from how it was 30 years ago. Okay, so I talked about traffic, right? Well, right behind me is the intersection of Point Fosdick and Olympic Drive. In my opinion, it is the worst intersection in Gig Harbor. Now, it's only 10:30 in the morning right now on a weekday, so traffic right now behind me isn't too bad. But rush hour times, it gets really packed. And here's why. It's the first main exit when you come across the Nose Bridge from Tacoma to get off in Gig Harbor. And it feeds Rosedale, Artendale, Fox Island, all of those things. Plus, it's got all the shopping around me. I'm in Uptown right now, so there's the movie theater, there's a grocery store. Actually, there's a few grocery stores. There's some medical facilities and urgent care. There's a lot of stuff right here, and this is how you access it. So that intersection right back there, man, it can be a nightmare. It can take you a couple times to get through it. It's one of the things that has gotten worse over the years as Gig Harbor has grown. Okay, so commuters, and this is something that has, in one regard, gotten a little bit better for people who live here, but for the most part, it's gotten rougher as well. Gig Harbor, like I mentioned before about the Narrows Bridge, right? So there used to be the one, and traffic was a nightmare. Now there's a two, and getting over the bridges are really easy. Well, there's a cost to that, right? So the Narrows Bridge has a toll. If you are going through the toll booth and you're actually stopping and paying, it's $5.50. But many of us have little scanners on our car where it just automatically gets billed to our credit card or debit card, and then it's $4.50 to cross one way, and they only charge you one way. So if you're making a daily commute, it's at least $4.50 every time you go over that bridge. But again, they only charge you the one way. Okay, so what a lot of people do is is if they're commuting, they really look at places and pockets of Gig Harbor that'll work for them. So it's easy to get to the freeway. Because like I said, we just went through the intersection at Point Fosdick and Olympic, and we didn't have any hard time this time of day because it's 10:30 in the morning, right? But that traffic, that intersection can get kind of nasty. So people will look at homes close to Highway 16 with easy access to the freeway to really cut into that commute time, because a lot of the commute time people deal with are just simply getting to the freeway. Once they're on the freeway, it's smooth sailing. So it's really important to figure out what's really important for you, and if something is going to drive you crazy after a year or two of dealing with getting to the freeway and commute time. So it's really important to pick those right pockets and make sure that you're buying a house in a good location that's convenient for your lifestyle. So let's talk about one more thing in regards to commute and things like that. Is for the most part, public transit in Gig Harbor kind of sucks. We do have some buses that go over to Tacoma. We do have some shuttles and buses that go up to the airport, but like Uber's not even really a big thing here. Most of the Uber drivers come over from Tacoma. We just don't have a lot of good public transit. Now, public transit is really growing in the bigger cities. So you go over to Seattle and Tacoma and the commutes up and down the I-5 corridor, it's 100% light rails, all that stuff. That stuff's going in there for sure. But when you get out, we're just a little bit off the beaten path, and the public transit has not kept up very well with that. So for the most part, if you live over here and you need to get over to Tacoma and things like that, unless you want to really time a bus schedule, which will take you a long time, you're driving your car. Here's another thing that catches people off guard when it comes to Gig Harbor is even though we're a little bit off the beaten path and we're a little bit of a smaller town, that does not mean cheap. Okay, so what do I mean by we are not cheap? So Gig Harbor is one of the more expensive places in Pierce County, and we're definitely more expensive than most of Kitsap County. So if you look at our neighbors around Gig Harbor, whether it be Kitsap County on the north of us or Tacoma just on the other side of the bridge from us, our average price points are definitely higher than theirs. We average in the $900,000 for a single family home here. You go to some of the websites that are out there, it's going to say it's a little less than that, but they're not taking into account what Gig Harbor really is. They're just using the broader mailing address of Gig Harbor, which gets way out on the Key Peninsula and places that are not really in the hub of Gig Harbor. So you need to be prepared for what Gig Harbor prices are. The other expenses that you have to be prepared for, which really no matter where you live, you have to be prepared for these, but they're all based on percentages, right? Is what are your property taxes are going to be and what your insurance is going to be, and make sure those are affordable for your budget. Here in this area, our property taxes are just a little bit less than 1% of the assessed value. The assessed value is typically a little less than market value, but it's still something you have to be prepared for. Just because you're looking at a mortgage of, I'm making this up, say $500,000 mortgage, you got to realize that you also have those extra expenses of insurance, property taxes, maintenance, utilities, all of those things, all of those add up. So if you're looking at the more expensive area of Pierce County, which Gig Harbor is, make sure you take those into consideration. Okay, so let's talk about another thing that surprises people or that can catch people off guard when they're talking about living in Gig Harbor. And that is how surprisingly, in the summertime especially, how busy and bustly we can get, especially in the downtown area. You have to realize that Gig Harbor itself, the city limits is only about 12,000 people, just a hair over. And then the greater Gig Harbor area where everybody has their mailing addresses is about 40,000. So we're not super big. Tacoma, for example, the city limits of Tacoma is over 250,000 people. And then if you add in the cities surrounding Tacoma, such as Fife, University Place, Lakewood, Steilacoom, Puyallup, things like that, you're talking about significantly bigger. So we're actually quite small. But in the summertime, especially on the weekends, we can get pretty busy downtown. Parking is an issue. It's kind of a local tourist kind of spot. People from the surrounding areas, Seattle and things like that, they come to Gig Harbor for a nice afternoon, walking on the water, little water activities, lunch out on the outdoor eating areas, things like that. So it can catch up to you and surprise you. Gig Harbor can be quite busy for being the quiet little town that it is. So let's talk about who really thrives here in Gig Harbor and who doesn't thrive. So here's the ones that thrive, the ones that embrace and love the kind of slower day-to-day pace that Gig Harbor is. If you're looking for hustle bustle, fast moving, big city life, Gig Harbor isn't it. You want the slower pace. You can get to the hustle and bustle pretty easy, but if you just want that slower pace, the morning walks, the water activities, things shut down and are quieter at night, you don't have all the horns hopping talking throughout the night like that, things like that, and Gig Harbor is definitely the place for you and you will thrive here. The other people that thrive here are the families that really want the stable, safe, good school district environment. Gig Harbor's got a great school district and Peninsula School District. It ranks, if you look at all the rankings online, niche.com is one of them that you can look at, ranks high above Kitsap County, which is just to the north of us, or South Kitsap School District, I should say. So people that want the good school districts and the steady bus lines and just kind of that stable sense of community, Gig Harbor is definitely a good place for you. If you are not into that and you just want to be on the move, then maybe a big city is a better spot. Here's who else who thrives in Gig Harbor. Those that need the big city stuff for work. So if you need to commute to Tacoma, it's only 15, 20 minutes away. You know, there's a lot of employment opportunities in Tacoma, but you want the quiet nighttime, you want the quiet weekends, you want to get out of the city for your normal personal life, and you're going to thrive here in Gig Harbor because you can have the best of both. You can commute to work fairly easily without a whole lot of expense as long as you pick the right pocket of Gig Harbor, and then you come home to the quiet atmosphere that we are. And the last set or group of people that I think would really thrive here in Gig Harbor today are the senior population, those that are retired or nearing retirement age, downsizing, things like that. The reason is because our healthcare has really gotten significantly better over the last few years. Like I mentioned earlier, we now have a hospital where we never used to have one. We have all these doctors' offices and urgent cares and professional buildings, things that just didn't exist 20, 30 years ago. So those of you that want to live close to the healthcare and not have to travel to get to it, Gig Harbor now is top choice. And I have a lot, this is very, very important to a lot of people. I have a lot of clients asking for accessibility to healthcare. And 30 years ago, it wasn't easy. It's way easier now. So for seniors, and the older I get, more important to me as well, this is a really big deal and you're gonna really thrive here. All right, let's switch gears here. And I want to be really direct with you on who will not thrive here, okay? So the people that will not thrive here, or anywhere in the Pacific Northwest for that matter, are the people that get really bummed out during the gray season in the winter months. So either you need to be a snowbird or you have to embrace it. Like I said, if you come up and you're looking around here and buy a house in the summer and it is the most beautiful place on earth, and then winter rolls around and it's gray and dreary and kind of wet, it does affect some people. So you have to embrace it. And if you're one of those that needs sun 5 days a week, this is not the spot for you and you will get depressed. Another group of people that this will not be a good fit for and that will not thrive here are those that don't realize what they're getting into when they start talking about their commute time to work. So if you come here and you're thinking you want a great family place for you and your family and all that stuff, this is definitely the spot to be. But if you have to make a daily drive up to Seattle 5 days a week, that might get really old after a while. The first year, you might like, okay, I can handle this, but year after year, driving over an hour in rush hour traffic each way to get back and forth to work 5 days a week, that might be a real drag. So you really need to check into if you're capable of that mentally, if you want to do that, if it's worth living here for that, or maybe somewhere closer to work and your everyday activity, that might be something to consider. And the last thing I want to talk about as far as people that won't thrive here are people that are looking for really big city adventures, okay? So we are that kind of sleepy little town. We do have a few bars that stay open, you know, after midnight, you can get a drink or whatever. But for the most part, we shut down at 9 o'clock at night. I mean, if you're out at a nice restaurant, you don't get food order in by 8:30, you probably aren't going to eat dinner that night. So just think about it. It's not a big bustling party kind of a town. So if you want that nightlife, if you want that action, if you want that lively kind of stuff, and you want that in your day-to-day life, in your backyard, Gig Harbor is not going to be it, and you're not going to thrive here. You're going to get bored because it's a little too quiet. So what is my final verdict and my honest opinion about Gig Harbor? Well, what do you think? I've lived here for over 30 years. I've raised my kids here and I still live here. So I must approve of it. This is a thumbs up place for me. Now, do all of the changes I like? No, I don't like sitting at traffic signals. I do not like waiting in line at Costco to check out. I don't like some of the busyness that has happened. You know, parking is really difficult downtown. Those things I don't like, but all in all, all, I really like it. And I like the growth and all the conveniences that the growth has done. Before, there was no Costco here. There was no Home Depot here. There was no Target here. You had to go across the Narrows Bridge over to Tacoma to hit any of those stores. Back in the day, there was really only one grocery store. Now we have several grocery stores. We have a movie theater now. You know, things like that. All those conveniences are really, really nice, and I really like the growth part of that. And if I have to deal with a couple crowds here and there or a little bit of traffic, for me, it is well worth it. So what is my verdict on the weather here? When it's gray and wet, you just got to embrace it. And you got to realize how lucky we are and how mild we are. So the summers, I don't even need to go into. It's the best place on earth. There's no question about it. No humidity, no bugs, 80 degrees, sunny, all the stuff, right? The winter is where you need to just realize what you're really getting into, okay? So we're pretty mild. It's colder, it rains more, it's more volatile anywhere in the Midwest and on the East Coast. What we have here that most places don't have is the consistent gray. I mentioned earlier, January, 73% of the time, it's overcast skies. That doesn't mean rain necessarily, it's just gray. So embrace it. And you know what? If it is raining, it's snowing in the mountains, go snowshoeing, go snow skiing, do something like that. If it's raining down here, put some Gore-Tex on and just get out and do it. And you know what? Take advantage of the sunny days like we have today. It's February, totally blue sky and sunny outside. Half of my friends are out golfing right now. I'm of course here working, but you know, embrace it. Get out there and do it. So my name is Darren Rivers. I am the Northwest Realtor and I am the managing broker of the Rivers Group. And we help people buy and sell houses all the time in here in Gig Harbor. I mean, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of families. So if you're at all thinking about moving to this area, anywhere in the South Puget Sound area, consult a local expert that can help you find the right pocket for you when it comes to your commute times, when it comes to what lifestyle you can expect in that certain area. We're here in Gig Harbor, but we work all over the place and we know the different pockets and what may be best for you. So make sure you reach out to us. Click the link below. You can reach out and schedule a phone call for us. All of my information is right here. So reach out to anybody on my team and we're happy to help you out.